Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar Zach, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar Zach, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we are busting pool myths. Before we do that, I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we do that, we want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, Pool Brain, and Knee Deck. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias, what's going on?
Just take two, right? Not much going on.
Well, deja vu, baby.
Yeah, deja vu.
Have we done this already?
It feels like it. No, not much is going on down here. I was talking about earlier, we've been getting hot and humid down here, kicking off summer. It's go time. And I think we're got about 12 weeks left until we start to come out of this, but it's getting really rough on our end down here.
That's pretty good, actually, because if you say it's only 12 weeks, it doesn't sound like a lot.
So big shout out to Mike with Spartan Pools, because last year I was complaining about it and he said, just remember only 12 more Fridays or something like that. And so we actually had it on a whiteboard in the shop, 12 more Fridays and then 11 more. And I don't know what it is, but it definitely helps to just have that up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Flawless, what's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot. I think his exact words were "suck it up, buttercup," I think is what he said.
Sounds about right.
Stop whining.
Well, and I'm not even the one that has to go out and spend all day in the heat. So I'm probably the last person here that should be complaining. Everyone else would probably slap me for even bringing it up. But it's definitely hot walking from the truck to the office and from the office to the truck.
Oh, Jesus.
Or at least you can tell the attitudes have changed a little bit of your people, right? You have to deal with,
right?
That's what summer brings to you, right? You got to deal with the crabbiness or the grumpiness, right, of being out there all day in the heat. And it's rough, man. And look, I feel like a broken record when I talk about the heat. This week we hit 115s already, and it's hot. And this year it's not just dry heat, but we're getting a lot of humidity. So it's tough on the soul, man. You have to have some real drive and fire to, or you have to be a crazy kind of person to want to do what we do. But luckily, we've been through multiple summers, and we know that, just like what you said, Zach, this shall not last, and this too will pass. And once we get through summertime, you get that smile on your face, and the first day when you're out there and it's actually a little chilly and your pools are just perfect, and it's a beautiful day to be a pool guy or a pool girl. And you sit back and you remember why you love your job so much and how great it is to be outside and working out, and the weather's beautiful and things are just running right. And you take the good days with the bad days. And as long as the good days outweigh the bad days, then you're doing well. And that's like our mantra. But speaking of like hot weathers and what summers bring this year and every year, you think sometimes your job gets a little redundant or gets a little boring at times. But if you truly understand it and you think about it and you're paying attention to your water, and you become very familiar with every pool that you've been servicing, especially if you've been doing it for many years. And one thing that we've noticed is this year is a lot different than last year as far as like the surprises that we're seeing and the early onset of certain types of algae, how it feels like it's becoming more resistant and it's harder to manage and maintain. We do a lot of new home quotes and estimations, and when we go out there, it's usually the same story being sung to us every time. Oh, my pool guy hasn't shown up, or oh, my pool's turned green, or oh, I have algae, or oh, I've had this leak that hasn't been repaired or fixed, or whatever it may be. But when we physically look at the pools, you get an idea of what summer has in store for you, what's happening. And this year we're seeing a lot of yellow mustard algae. It's more prevalent than it has been in the past. And it's important that we're cognizant of that and we understand it and that we come up with the right battle plan so that nobody's perfect. And when we do have things that happen, we know how to attack it and make sure that we're on top of it so that we don't allow these things to become a bigger issue. Because summertime for all, one thing I dread about summer, not only about heat, as a business owner, I dread my chemical costs and the rise of chemical costs, right? And your distribution bills start to really skyrocket when it comes down to chemical usage, simply because you use more chlorine. You're using more of that to balance the pool. And if we allow an algae outbreak, or if we're not on top of it and we don't nip these problems in the butt at the beginning, then, it's going to take, guess what, more and more chemicals in order to fix it. And it becomes very expensive for you and for your client. And it becomes a little demoralizing, especially when you're out there in the heat at 124 degrees and you have to work and scrub this pool for an extra 30 minutes because we let it zero out or whatever. But doing this podcast, especially us doing these chemistry classes or Instagram lives and podcasts, I think is perfect timing. They've been well received and we've gotten so many questions from people. And our goal today is to at least debunk some of these myths that some people still hold on to dearly and think is the right way of doing it, when unfortunately they're either spinning their wheels or not truly getting the result that they want. So I'm looking forward to talking today, and hopefully we can debunk some of these myths for the guys and gals out there.
I need to go take some vitamins. I'm getting the old man syndrome, John. I was just gonna do something and my brain just went completely blank. Well, I don't know if you saw me making faces. I was like, what the hell was I? I literally just opened a window next, and I'm like, wow. And then you're talking, and I'm like, holy crap.
Keep talking, John. Keep talking, John. I'm trying to get my thought back.
Keep going, because I can't remember. But I need my vitamins at that age, so I need some of that.
I'm going to send you over.
You're always talking about.
I know. I tell you ginkgo biloba, but there's some pills because Janie is doing the same thing. So I tell her,
she's getting old?
Well, no, she's not getting old.
You said, I just said I'm getting old, and you're like,
she's forgetting things every so often. Where she used to be the type of gal that if I needed something or we had something and I said, hey, I need this screwdriver, or do you know where this is at, or whatever it may be, and she'll literally tell me, oh, in the garage on the second shelf on the third corner, the third drawer, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? Where lately I don't know what it is, but she's not able to recall it that well. But it could be the heat getting to her. It could be age. I don't know what it is, but I bought her some pills. They're called, I think, Brain Factor or something like that. And they're supposed to help with your memory and keeping sharp and stuff like that. And she's been taking it. They've been working. I'm going to send you over the link, or you know what? I'll just Amazon it straight to your house.
New sponsor of the Pool Nation podcast. What is it called? Brain Factor. You sound like Joe Rogan. I was expecting you to pull out a bottle and just be like, this is the greatest thing. It's improved my memory. And so
I'm just glad it's not just me, because before the podcast, I just ordered some Alpha Brain, which is like the same thing. Yeah, because I've been like, man, I'm tired and I'm not recalling things like I have been. Yeah, something must be in the air.
That's crazy.
So whatever happened to the three guys from Pool Nation? I don't know. They just forgot that they needed to do a podcast and they just disappeared.
Yeah, they're wandering in the neighborhood somewhere. We see some posters of them.
Edgar's still trying to figure out what he was thinking about.
Right. Have you seen this man?
So everybody, now you know what that happens to us. We ride off into the sunset because we just kind of forgot that we're supposed to do things. So anyways, gentlemen, super excited about a couple of things that we have going on at the PEP in Van Nuys. July 26th, we are doing a pop-up boot camp out there. Victor from the branch reached out to us and he wanted us to get together with them. And he's like, I want to do something for the pool pros here from the branch. What can we do? And so we said, pop-up boot camp, baby, let's go. So we are going to be going out there July 26th, July 25th. We're going to be out in Aquastar. We're going to be spilling some of that tea as we get closer to that. It's going to be big, so stay tuned. We're going to be streaming live from up there on July 25th. Next thing that we have going on is the nominations for the Pool Nation Awards are open. So get out there and nominate poolnationawards.com. This is a time where you got to get out there, nominate those people, tell them that they make a difference in this industry. From there, the nominations are going to be announced on Wednesday, August 20th, out at Heritage Pool Supply. And it's going to be a women's only event because the 21st and the 22nd is going to be the Pool Nation Women's Summit out in McKinney, Texas. We're really excited about that. From there, we roll right into the $10,000 Pool Pro Challenge, which is going to be October 22nd at our booth at the PSP Expo. Pool Nation Awards October 23rd. And the Pool Nation Conference starts October 24th and 25th. We've got a couple different tracks. If you're part of the Business Matrix, you get your classes that are just for you guys and nobody else. You have to be part of the Matrix to be able to do those classes, and that'll be both days. And then from there, we've got a technical track that we're going to be announcing all the stuff that we've going on, but we've got chemistry, we've got startups, we've got acid washes, we've got chemical safety. We've got it all for that track. And then we have the business track. And so really a lot of the Pool Nation conference is really that it's the only pool conference that's focused on the business side of the industry. And we've put together this track that I am really excited about. And so we'll talk really quick about some of those classes. Day number one, first class is going to be really turning pools into profits and how to build a business, not just a route. Really, a lot of that is going to be the focus on having a profitability mindset since day one.
And then we're going to be rolling into turning metrics into money and what your financials are telling you. It's going to teach you how to just stop guessing and start leading with data, right? And learn where you're missing out on some hidden profits so that you can make better decisions.
And then from there, we're going to go into know your costs, grow your profits, business math made simple for pool pros. And this is just going to really cover some of those formulas and methods to help you price your service and protect your bottom line, because this is something that we see a lot, is that people don't fully understand what it costs to deliver their service. And so this will help figure that out.
From there, we go to financial planning and exit strategy. We talk about it all the time. There's going to be a point where you can't do this anymore, or you forget that you're supposed to do it, right? Like us three, we forget what we're supposed to do, right? Really preparing for that exit strategy. And it's a couple different things. It is not just for you financially planning your future and stuff like that, but how do you set your business up so that you can get more times for that business when it comes time to sell?
And the last one for day one is going to be profit is not cash, teaching you how to master cash flow and stay in control of it all year. Too many times we fall into the pitfall where we think that profit on paper pays the bills, but it doesn't. Right? Cash does. You're going to learn how to avoid cash crunches and build financial stability.
From there, we're going to roll into day two. And with that, we're going to really talk about that talent life cycle, building skills for business success. And we're going to go into kind of how to unlock the potential of your team by really understanding and mastering the talent life cycle. It's going to help you learn how to build skills for every stage of that cycle to help drive performance, foster growth, and create a thriving people-powered organization.
From there, we roll right into developing high-performing teams, right? So obviously, as you start to grow, as you start to scale, as you start to bring people on, there's a method to the madness, right? And you have to be able to develop those high-performing teams, because at that stage, you're going to have to start to step a little bit away from the day-to-day, and your job is going to be focusing on running your company. And so this is really kind of starts with preparing you to give you strategies to build and inspire those high-performing teams.
Then we're going to be rolling into the power of partnership, cultivating true collaboration in your team. And it's going to teach you that collaboration isn't just working together. You have to learn how to work smarter together, how to break down silos, enhance communication, and build a culture where ideas flow freely so your team could unite together and solve problems. Because when you're running a business and you have employees, you can't do it on your own. And being able to partner with your people is the only way to truly succeed.
The next class will be dive into time management strategies, take control of your day and maximize productivity. And this course is really going to talk about practical time management techniques to help you prioritize your time, minimize distractions, and really make every minute count. You're going to learn how to plan effectively, set boundaries, and create habits that boost efficiency and reduce stress so that you could really make the most out of your time and focus on what truly impacts and drives your business forward.
And the last one is obviously when we bring it home, baby. And that is driving results through accountability, right? Like you could do all these things. You can hire people. You can try to build that high performing team. But if there's no accountability at the end of the day, you are not going to be successful. So it's really the engine of performance in your company. And so we'll bring that last course to bring it all home and be able to foster in your company that results driven culture. So we're really excited about that. We're going to be doing just a complete concentration onto that business track. So we're looking to get everybody out there. Here's the thing, just like every conference that we do, our conferences are a little bit smaller, and they're meant to be a little bit smaller because what we want is we want to be able to have that one-on-one personalized attention with everybody. So for the business track, we can only manage, I think it was 100 people. The technical track is going to be 100. And for the hands-on, it's only 80 people. So if you want to register, go to poolnation.com. There's obviously you can see the conference button on there. Click on it. When you go to the registration, it'll give you a drop down. If you want to take the business classes, you can sign up for the business classes. And if you're going to take your employees to do the hands-on or the technical, you can add their tickets right there on the same form. You can click through, register, and get your seats. But registration is officially open, boys, because we are about 125 days away. So anyway, stay tuned, everybody. More to come.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm excited about this. And by the way, John and I were talking, what was it last night? Like 11:40 my time, John? And I'm calling you.
Yeah. I thought you might have fallen and broken your hip or something that you needed help.
So, I was talking to one of the members with the Matrix, and they were having some problems with the commercial pool, and we were going through it and all that kind of stuff. And I was in bed, and this is probably like 11 something. And I'm like, oh, I'll call you tomorrow. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be at the pool at 6 a.m. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll just get out of bed and I'll go call you now. And so I go out there and we called and we chit-chatted. And then I turn around and hang up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call John. So I turn around and call John like at 11:40 at night to talk water.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, okay. We were talking for like 15, 20 minutes over, exactly what I was saying at the intro about the yellow algae, right? Mustard algae, and how do we attack it? And what are some of the plans? Yeah, what to do. But it was awesome.
And we were able to get to the bottom of it, John, and figure it out. And so he's got a game plan now to get out there and really attack that pool. So I'll have to update you on that. Anyways, obviously we're getting a lot of the pool pros this time of the year because pools get trashed and algae and people swimming and all that kind of stuff. And so we're getting a lot of water chemistry questions. The podcast that comes out on Monday is the track that we did all on pH, where we're just talking all about pH. This one, we're going to do something a little bit different, and this is busting those myths that are out there. And so we had some people send in some questions, and we're like, oh, how do we tweak those a little bit to answer some of those questions? So, John, as usual, you're going to be our go-to guy. And Zach, I think we're kind of enjoying these podcasts a little bit too much.
Maybe that's why we're losing our memory. We're not quick on our feet. We're just letting John
right?
do it. Yeah.
We're like, oh, yep, just let John go. So anyways, so here's what we're going to do, John. We're going to throw out some myths over to you, and then you will obviously tell us if it's true or not true.
Okay.
And then you have to answer the question.
How about we do this? I think this is going to be like rapid fire, and we're going to go in succession. And my goal is to be able to get through as many of them as I possibly can today. Before we do it, let's just take a quick break. And then after our word from our sponsors, we'll continue with the myths. Sound good? Or start it?
Let's start it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I'm just messing with you. All right, so let's do this. Let's take a word from our... John just wants more time in a row to just be able to kind of... I know what he's doing. He's like, I want more time. I'm like, don't start me and then make me stop and then make me go again, because I'm going to get into it. All right, let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll dive into the myths.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We are ready to dive in, right? No pun intended. But you know what drives me crazy is when people are like, oh, you're making waves.
Oh, look at you with all the
dive in, making waves, making a splash. It's like
it's not more for pool guys. Is it really diving in? It's more like falling in.
Falling in. There you go.
They want to dive in, but they fall in.
All right. So let's start with these water chemistry mythbusters over here. And John, ready for number 1?
Sure.
Are you ready?
Go. Yeah. How many do we have?
I don't know. I think we have 12 of them, 13, 14.
So if we can get through 4 of them, we're good.
We'll get through probably like last time you did good. You got through like 7.
I did good. I think I'm going to try for 8.
Okay. So here we go. Number 1, if chlorine levels are good, pH doesn't really matter.
Okay. So that's a really good one. And it's something that a lot of pool guys or pool gals believe, but might not necessarily fess up to it. But the truth is, pH is so vitally important when it comes down to water chemistry. And I'll try to break it down as easily as possible and as quick as possible. But first and foremost, our most precious task in the backyard is to make sure that water is safe for the people that are using it. And for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure you might have heard of it in the past, is that the effectiveness of chlorine is heavily weighted on the pH. And what I mean by that is, as pH starts to drift up, as it gets higher, the active killing form of chlorine starts to reduce, and there's less and less of it in the pool. Kind of give you an example, once you get into the 8 range, you only have roughly about 20% available as the active killing form of chlorine. As chlorine starts to lower, and let's say, for instance, you get to 6, as pH starts to get lower towards the 7-ish area, then you start to get more active chlorine. So As far as sanitizing or disinfecting and killing algae, keeping the water clear and safe, chlorine is highly dependent on pH. Now, let's take it to the next step. We all talk and preach about we're the professionals in the backyard, and not only is our responsibility to keep the backyard safe and the water safe for our swimmers, but we are also instilled with the responsibility to be able to maintain and preserve the equipment and the vessel. The backyard and the pool, if somebody has one, is probably one of their biggest investment, if not the biggest investment in their home. And the equipment and maintaining it is very costly, especially if you neglect it. And to replaster pools, to redo copings, to replace pumps and heaters, that starts to add up. And as a true professional in the backyard, it's our duty to also maintain the integrity of the equipment and the vessel, and also to maintain aesthetically how it looks so that it's beautiful so they can enjoy it as well. And the reason why I'm getting into that, when it comes down to pH plays a vital role in that. If your pH is too low, your water is very aggressive. And if it's very aggressive, it eats away at anything and everything in search for one thing, which is calcium. So our plaster, our grout, it will destroy it and tear it up so that it can find calcium. It will eat through copper, and our heat exchangers are made of copper. So it will destroy the copper. It will cause leaks, ruin heat exchangers, then leach copper into the water, which then creates staining. It'll go through pump seals. It is less comfortable for swimmers to swim in a lower pH environment and also in a higher pH environment. We talk about target chemistry, and 7.5 is the sweet spot. It's a sweet spot because at that point, 50% of the chlorine is the active killing form of chlorine, which is sufficient to be able to disinfect the pool as long as your chlorine levels are at the correct levels. Now, when you go on the other scale, which is usually more of an issue when you have higher pH, and that's, I think, where the myth is derived from, is let your pH do whatever, it doesn't matter. When you have high pH, you start to get scaling in the water, and aesthetically, it just doesn't look good. You can scale the floors, you can scale the walls, you get excess calcium buildup on the tile, you blow through your salt cells, you can create calcium calcification in your heat exchangers, which renders them useless and causes them to overheat and not work properly. There's so many things that come into play when you have higher pH. You have to remember that water is like a sponge. One of the other biggest problems with high pH is usually cloudy water or metal staining. Water's ability to be able to retain and hold on to metals in the water, like for instance copper, is highly determined on where the pH is. So as the pH gets higher, water's ability to be able to hold that copper into solution starts to diminish. Same thing with calcium. As pH starts to rise, water's ability to be able to hold on to calcium also diminishes, so it releases it. As it lowers, its ability to hold on to more of it increases. So pH plays a vital role in proper water chemistry, and it is very important to make sure that you not only maintain proper sanitation levels in the water, but to also maintain proper pH levels for aesthetics, for equipment, and for the safety of your swimmers.
Awesome. Ready for number 2?
I think so. Did I go too fast on that one?
No, that was perfect. That was a lot of good information.
Okay.
All right. So number 2, muriatic acid lowers both pH and alkalinity equally.
I think the myth is really, if you pour it a certain way, it lowers alkalinity more, or if you pour it another way, it lowers pH more. I think that's where the myth really came from. When you're adding acid to a pool, regardless of whether it's muriatic acid, dry acid, if you're tabbing your pool that has a low pH, you're going to lower pH and alkalinity, but you're not going to lower it at the same level. And the reason why is alkalinity in itself is a buffer for pH. The more alkalinity you have in the water, the less drop in pH you will get with said acid that you add into the water. So as your alkalinity lowers, its ability to protect pH, it becomes more susceptible, and pH will drop faster in a lower alkalinity pool than it would in a higher alkalinity pool. You need to understand that, and your dosage of acid is going to vary based off of where your alkalinity level is. So you need to understand that when you're dosing correctly or when you're dosing the pool. And the easiest way to do that is download one of the calculators. Bob Lowry has one, the chemical dosage calculator, and it works wonders. It'll tell you exactly how much of what type of acid you're going to need in order to lower your pH and your alkalinity. The other myth that I was getting into that I think is related to this is how you pour your acid and what it'll affect based on how you pour it. Common myth is that if you column pour acid to a pool, that you will affect alkalinity more than you would pH. And if you broadcast it or walk it around the water, around the pool, that you will affect pH more than you will alkalinity. And that is just purely false. It is not true. Once the acid completely circulates and dilutes and gets mixed in with the water, the effect will be the same whether you poured it all in one spot in the deep end or if you broadcasted it. I would never even, just the thought of column pouring acid in a pool makes me want to cringe, because when you do that, we all know that acid is much more heavier than water. And what ends up happening is all that acid in that small spot or that confined space is going to immediately sink to the bottom of the pool. And at the bottom of the pool, you have your plaster, you have your PebbleTech, your Stonescaper, your vinyl, whatever it may be. And it will become a highly corrosive environment, and it will start to deteriorate and create stains and eat away at the plaster. So I highly advise against doing that. Pour your acid right, and it will affect both acid and alkalinity the same.
All right. Now that we're talking about that and talking about alkalinity, myth number 3, I'll tell if it's true or not. You should always correct alkalinity before correcting pH.
So again, there's somewhat truth to this. I can get it, right? When you are dosing your pool and you are trying to lower your pH, you need to understand what your alkalinity is. And pH follows alkalinity. As alkalinity goes down, as you lower alkalinity, so will your pH. So it is wise to look at your alkalinity and adjust it accordingly, and your pH will follow it. But you need to understand that not all pools are somewhat balanced. And there are a lot of times when you have pools that have high pH, and the reason why you have high pH is probably because you have very high alkalinity in your pool for one reason. There could be other reasons as well, but the main reason why pH tends to rise faster or stay higher is when you have high alkalinity. And we'll give you some numbers. If your alkalinity is on the high end at 120, 140, and you want to bring it down to target levels, which is 90 parts per million of alkalinity, to create that drop of alkalinity from 120 or 140 to 90 would take an enormous amount of acid, which is not advisable to do in one treatment, right? The way you approach that, and it's a saying I like to say, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You got to take chips at it. You might be able to lower your alkalinity 10 to 20 parts per million per visit, but anything more than that, then you are adding a lot of acid into that pool, and it's not advised, simply because you will lower pH quickly. And before that water actually gets to dilute and mix up, you're going to create a very aggressive environment, which can eat through plaster, grout, ruin equipment, make it unsafe for swimmers to swim in. So it is important that you understand the relationship between alkalinity and pH. Alkalinity is a buffer for pH, and as alkalinity goes, pH goes, but depending on where the numbers are is how you approach that.
Perfect. Myth number 4, you can just eyeball the dose of acid or soda ash once you've done it a few times.
Just like anything in life, if you've done it 1,000 times, I'm sure you get better at it, but the reality is this. You are not achieving the correct results if you're eyeballing it. I have yet to find a human being that is able to correctly dose anything more or less than a half a gallon than a gallon from a gallon container, right? So unless you're putting in a gallon of something, and that's what you need to put in because that's what the calculator tells you to do or what you should do according to the conditions of the water, pull out a measuring cup and measure it and do it properly. And for a couple of reasons. One, so that you can get accurate results. And 2, you're not wasting money, because there is a common condition in our industry where we overdose things. And when you overdose things, you tend to waste money. and you don't achieve the results that you need. And you can have some very unintended consequences from it, especially when you're adding stuff like acid or soda ash. And soda ash should be used carefully. We don't like to use soda ash as a company simply because it is, for anybody that's ever put soda ash in a pool, it creates quite the scene, right? And chemically, it really messes with the balance of the water simply because not only does it raise the pH, but it raises the alkalinity. And there's not many pools or environments where I see that you have to necessarily do that. There are other ways to adjust pH and to adjust alkalinity that are more effective. And if you overdose a pool with soda ash, for sure, you're going to create a very cloudy water. You can create an environment where staining happens, where you release metals out of the water because now it's a very scaling environment in that area. So it's safe to say, guys, just don't try to eyeball no matter how good you think you are. Use a measuring cup, and I promise you, you will see a difference. It might take an extra 10 seconds to do it, but overall, you're going to be able to get a good understanding of where your water's at and be able to formulate a game plan on what you need to do to correct any issues that are there and save money while you're doing it.
Myth number 5, and we just did a big old track. Actually, we've done 2 tracks on this, so they're coming out soon. Stay tuned for the Poolman University. We've got a lot of content coming out. But John, here it is. Myth number 5, as long as your pH is between 7.2 and 7.8, you're fine.
So look, common education and what we've all been grown up with in the past is range chemistry. And range chemistry is 7.2 to 7.8 for pH. You're looking at alkalinity between 80 parts per million and 120 parts per million, right? When you're looking at calcium hardness, 200 to 400, right? Those are the things that we were taught. And technically, yes, if we stay within those ranges, for the most part, the water will be safe and swimmable, but not necessarily. And the reason being is that as a professional in the backyard, not only are we tasked, and I talked about it before in some of the other myths, with the safety and the comfort of our bathers and also preserving their equipment, but if you are balancing your pool with, when it comes down to LSI, which is the proper way so that you can ensure quality water, not only safe water, but quality water that preserves the equipment in the vessel, you can find yourself that even though you're within ranges, that your water isn't necessarily balanced. And I can give you an example, right? If your alkalinity is on the high end at 120, if your pH is on the high end at 7.8, right? If your calcium's on the high end, right, at 400, and if your water temperature is like us in the summer, or my water temps are like 98 degrees, put that into a calculator, and you would find it very hard to find that water to be balanced. And it can also be on the flip side when you are on the lower end of those metrics. You can find that your pool, especially in a cold water environment, because as we know, as water it gets colder, it becomes more aggressive. As water gets hotter, it becomes more scaling. And it has a drastic effect on LSI as the water temps start to rise or lower. Range chemistry is a good starting point, but when you're truly looking to dial in your pool and you want to make sure that your water is not only safe, but it's also balanced, target chemistry and understanding LSI is what really puts you to the next level.
Myth number 6, a strong chlorine smell means the water is clean.
No, maybe before we all got into the pool industry, we might have thought that. And this is a myth that we've heard from friends and family, or what we were mistaken as the truth as normal civilians before we took on the war of or became soldiers of the pool industry. When we walked into a hotel, or I almost like cringe at me in the past before I became a pool guy. And when I would get into like spas, or when I would, as a kid, right, I get into spas and jacuzzis and get into these hotel pools or whatever it was when we're on vacation. And now I'm just like, ugh. And I'm trying to think, is this reason why I'm so tired is because of, anyways, like I have these ailing problems from back then. But the truth is this, is if you smell chlorine in the pool, you do not have enough chlorine in the pool. And that is the bottom line. And the reason why is chlorine, as it oxidizes or as it disinfects, if there's not enough of it in there, it gets overwhelmed by nitrogen, right? And that comes in varying different forms, body oils, from urea, from piss and stuff like that. and then it binds with it and it creates something called a chloramine. And chloramine, there's 3 types of chloramines. There's monochloramine, there's dichloramine, and there's trichloramine. And once it gets into the trichloramine stage and it becomes gaseous, it starts to gas off, and that gas off is what you smell. Chloramines, even though it reads as total chlorine in the pool, it is a very weak and ineffective, practically useless form of chlorine in the water. And it is not enough, and it is not safe to be in a pool that has high levels of combined chlorine in it. So if you do smell chlorine, what you need to do is shock your pool and create breakpoint chlorination. And the way you figure that out is minus what your total chlorine is, whatever your total chlorine is from your free chlorine, and the difference between it is your combined chlorine. And at that point, you need to raise the levels at minimum 10 times so that you can reach breakpoint chlorination. And what you will find is by adding all that chlorine, after a while and after it gases off and it frees it from that nitrogen, that smell will start to go away. And a point is proven. If you ever gotten a full bottle of chlorine, a gallon of chlorine, open up the cap and take a whiff of it, you can hardly even smell it. And that's a completely concentrated amount of chlorine, right? That's in there. Why should you smell it in the water when it's diluted with thousands and thousands of gallons? The reason being is because you have chloramines in the water, and the water is probably not safe to swim in, and you should definitely do something about it or stay away from it until it's rectified.
Myth number 7, if the water looks clear, the chemistry must be fine.
Yeah, I've heard this before too. And I think this is a superpower that most pool guys and gals strive to be able to acquire. And even though I've been doing this for many years and I got a pretty good idea, and look, I'm not going to say that as professionals, we walk into the backyard, there's some telltale signs that we can look at that'll tell us if something's going on with the water or there's been a problem with the water in the past. But to be able to tell whether or not the water is safe for somebody to swim in or use, that is a falsehood. You cannot tell by your eyes, no matter how great your vision is, whether or not the pool is safe for somebody to swim in. The truth is, some of the most aggressive and dangerous water is crystal clear, right? And usually pools, especially that tend to have very low pH, tend to be a lot more crystal clear. It could also be that the pool just zeroed out and algae hasn't had chance to be able to multiply enough to be able to create the cloudiness or to create the green tint or to start to grow enough to where it was visible to the eyes. Bottom line is, doesn't matter how good that water looks, doesn't matter whether it just because it has a salt cell on it that you don't need to test it. When you walk into the backyard, or especially if anybody, before someone uses the pool, you should know exactly where those measurements are at so that you know that water's safe, because water can be very deceiving.
Myth number 8, you don't need to test CYA that often.
I guess that all depends on what that often is. I can say this, that there's some metrics or things that you need to test every single time you go there. And one of them is pH and your chlorine levels. But is CYA something that you need to test every single week? No. It is something that does not increase unless you add something physically or you intervene and add something to the water that increases CYA. And as a professional, you should have an idea of where your CYA levels are. At minimum, I believe that CYA should be tested at least once a month. And the reason being is, especially if you are using certain types of disinfecting methods like trichlor tablets. If, for instance, you are dosing your pool with trichlor tablets, or you're filling up a floater every single week, or your choice of powder chlorine is dichlor, you need to understand that those types or those forms of chlorine are very heavy in cyanuric acid, that you are introducing a lot of cyanuric acid into that water. Unless you understand the calculations or unless you stay on top of it, you can find that your CYA levels will rise and get out of hand very quickly. And the problem with that is, as your CYA rises, your free chlorine ratio to it, you have to keep into consideration. You should always have 7.5% of whatever your CYA is to free chlorine. So if your CYA is at 50, then you need to maintain a minimum of 3.75 parts per million of free chlorine in that water. So if you think that you are at 50 parts, or you measured in your 50 parts per million of CYA, and you are constantly using tablets in order to sanitize the water and or adding dichlor to it, you might need to test your CYA more regularly, like every other week, so that you get a better understanding of where your CYA is, so you can adjust your free chlorine accordingly so that you maintain that clear, safe water for your customer. But other than that, if it's a salt pool and you're not using tablets, if you are using liquid chlorine, or if you're using, let's say, Cal Hypo, and you're not introducing CYA, you can pretty much bank on the fact that CYA is going to be pretty steady unless there are outside influences to it. And those outside influences could be whether, let's say, if Zach was talking about like rain, where you guys get a lot of rain. I know our friends out in Florida get tons of rain in dilution. So this myth is iffy. It really depends on the situation. But by standard, do you need to test CYA every single week? No, you do not. It's something that doesn't change as often without human intervention or acts of God.
Next question, Mythbuster. And this one comes up often. Saltwater pools don't use chlorine.
Okay. So yeah, this is like the ongoing joke in the industry, right? And as pool professionals, we kind of giggle and laugh because the biggest misconception that a lot of our consumers have, or our clients, are that just because they have a saltwater pool, that I've heard it, I'm allergic to chlorine, that's why I have a saltwater pool. I'm like, okay. Or what are you doing adding chlorine into the pool? We have a saltwater pool, or whatever it may be. And I think it derived from marketing or sales tactics, where manufacturers or pool companies or builders maybe, or whatever it may be, sold the fact that, hey, you want to have this new pool, whatever, that you don't need to have chlorine because you have a saltwater pool, and use that as a tool to be able to sell that. And that's how that myth was created. And that's why customers believe that or think that. But that couldn't be more false. And the reason being is literally a saltwater pool or a salt cell or a salt system is just generating its own chlorine, right? So through the process of electrolysis, what happens is as the salt molecule passes through the plates and through electrolysis, it splits that molecule, and one of the byproducts is chlorine gas, and that gas gets dissolved into the water and it creates chlorine and introduces chlorine into the pool. The difference between a freshwater pool and a saltwater pool is that with saltwater pools, one, you're generating your own chlorine, but you're able to generate it and introduce it to the water on a consistent basis without having to spike the levels. And I use this as a selling tactic when I talk to my clients or my customers, when I explain the benefits from it, because I don't tell them it's not a chlorine pool. What I let them know is that, you know, when you go to the backyard every single week as a pool pro, you walk into the backyard and you are adding chlorine to the pool, whatever it may be. They might be adding a gallon or a half a gallon or 2 gallons based on the side or whatever it is. But I explain it to them as, think of it like a sinus rhythm, you know, your heartbeat. And when your pool guy comes into the backyard and they come in on Monday, they need to add enough chlorine into that pool so that residual stays high enough so that when they get back there the next week, that there's still a level in there, and then they spike it back up, right? And then they lower it and they spike it back up, just like a heartbeat. The benefit of having a salt pool or having a salt chlorine generator is that you're able to dial it in to the perfect level and maintain it consistently. And that helps with, especially when the pool is being used a lot, because if you have bather load or dogs are in there and certain things, to be able to have the ability to generate your own chlorine consistently, it tends to lead to better, safer, cleaner water without having to shock the pool every week that you're there, or to add or overdose liquid chlorine into it. So no, saltwater pools do absolutely use chlorine. That is in definition of what they do. They generate chlorine on their own.
Myth number 10, shock will fix any pool issue.
So this is one that even I joke about sometimes, and I've spent countless hours talking to hundreds of pool pros over the years. And when there's problems, I think, Zach, even you and I spoke about this before, and the saying is, when in doubt, pour it out, right? And what that means is, hey, if you don't know what the hell's going on, or, you know, you got a problem in the pool, just load it up with a bunch of chlorine and it'll fix it. And for the most part, if you got algae, if you got certain issues, cloudy water, combined chlorine, you can add a lot of chlorine into the pool and that will generally fix what issues you have. But it's not the end all be all for the solution, right? Proper water chemistry plays a huge factor in it. And we were talking about it in some of the prior myths, especially like pH, understanding and balancing your pH correctly so that when you do pour in your chlorine, that it's effective and it's working well. Sometimes you run into problems when you have nitrites into the water and you're eating through chlorine, or you might have turned your pool into a bromine pool because you've had a lot of yellow algae in the past and you've put a lot of sodium bromine in the water. It could be where your TDS levels are through the roof, right? It could be where a lot of different things are in play, and overdosing or just throwing excess amount of chlorine into the water is usually just a waste. And it's important to understand what the problem is and then coming up with the game plan and dosing it accordingly, right? This isn't guesswork, folks. This is chemistry and this is physics. There's laws that are in play, and if you add a certain amount of something, you will achieve a result. And just because you add more of it doesn't give you a better result. The myth of when in doubt, pour it out isn't necessarily the proper action or the right way to approach a problem pool.
Gentlemen, let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to get your final thoughts.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Pool Nation Live podcast. And so in this episode, we're trying to debunk all those myths that are out there. And Mr. Flawless was it, right? Zach and I tag, you're it. So Zacharias, let me get some final thoughts.
Well, I have to say I'm really impressed because we made it through 10, and I think that was a good number to hit, and it's probably a record at this point, but that's all great information. And I think you might have touched on this earlier, but these are the things that we hear throughout time, whether it's from our peers, from maybe someone that's teaching the wrong information, whatever it may be, and they stick with us. And I think this is great information to go over and explain some of these different myths and why they may be and educate everyone on them. So I think this is really good stuff to go through. And like Edgar said, this was a breeze for me and him, so I can't complain there, but good stuff, John.
The only reason that we got through 10 is because we were told by John, you guys are going to shut the hell up and you're not going to joke. You're not going to reinforce anything that I'm saying. What I'm saying is law, and you guys are just going to sit there. You're going to be quiet, and that's it.
I have to tell you, it was hard.
We got through 10.
No, what I really said was, look, if you really want to try to get through as many of these, don't send me down a different rabbit hole and start talking about something else, because I'm going to start losing focus and start going on a rant about something else. And we're going to
Therefore, both of you shut up and don't say anything.
Pretty much, yes.
Let me get some final thoughts, John.
No, look, I love this. And you know how you guys say it's easy for you guys, this is easy for me. This is what I live and breathe every single day, and I enjoy the hell out of it. I truly believe that these are very important, and we joke about these myths sometimes and some of these things that we hear, but it's important because there are people out there that believe these things, not because
the new guys.
They want to. It's because that's, unfortunately, they were taught that way, or they heard it, or they watched a YouTube professor out there who thought they knew something about it, or some homeowner on TikTok that came out with had the Mr. Clean or the whatever to the skimmer basket, or throw a copper tube in there and life is good. I actually went to a home once where a guy had some copper fittings and there was just in the skimmer basket. I'm like, bro, what the hell's going on right here, bro? Don't you forget these or something like that? And no, I saw it on TikTok or whatever.
I had some that had like copper balls. Then you go into the skimmer and they're like, well, I heard
like,
that.
Bro, what are you doing? But it's true. And it's simply because you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, if you go into something thinking that, I don't think anybody intentionally is trying to mislead anyone. I just think that they were just misinformed. So it's important that we clear the air and get these things out of here, and hopefully it helps give people a little bit of understanding. This is not the definite answer to each and every one of them. I could have probably gone on for another 20 minutes for each myth, but hopefully it gives you some clarity. And if it does inspire any additional questions or follow-up questions from it, or you wanted some clarification, shoot us an email or reach out to us. Download the Poolman University app and give us a comment there, and we'll be happy to get more into detail about it and answer any questions that you have. But these are fun times and fun stuff. And for me, this was super simple. We got to blow through it. Time flew really quick. Look forward to the next, and I'll see you on Wednesday, Edgar.
Yes, we will be back Wednesday on our Instagram Live. So, Mr. Zacharias, John, thank you so much. Everybody out there, have a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next one. Out.
Later.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or PoolNationPodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.